Hey now, welcome back Pokemon trainers. This is your friendly neighborhood Bullados, and today we are at the Midseason Showdown for Minneapolis at Highlander Games in Columbia Heights, Minnesota. We are in round 1. On the left you will see Daniel Thorpe, and on the right is Curtis Cousins. Daniel is bringing in its Tapu Koko, Garchomp, Arcanine, Tapu Fini, Celesteela, and Snorlax, while Curtis is bringing in Alolan Ninetales, Kartana, Tapu Fini, Bravery, Arcanine, and Garchomp. Players will have a minute and a half to select their teams. These are 2v2 battles, so they select their opening 2 and then their back 2 behind that. And we're just waiting for everyone to decide what they're selecting. It looks like Daniel has selected his 4 Pokemon and just waiting to confirm it. This is a pretty standard matchup. The Alolan Ninetales we haven't seen very much of in this tournament format, so I'll be interested to see how Curtis runs with it. So, Daniel has chosen his Pokemon, so has Curtis. Battle start. Welcome to round 1. These are best of 3 matches, and they will take 50 minutes to complete. So here we go. So Curtis starts out with his Arcanine and Bravery, while Daniel's going to start off with Tapu Koko and Celesteela. I can almost guarantee that Celesteela is going to be switching out on this first turn because it does not want to get hit by that Arcanine for double damage. Intimidate's going to drop both Celesteela and Tapu Koko's attack, but it doesn't really matter that much because neither one of these Pokemon relies that much on its physical attack. Tapu Koko is definitely going to use an attack. Celesteela, my best guess is that the Tapu Koko is going to try and attack the, the Bravery. I know that he had a lot of trouble with it in yesterday's tournament. So it looks like Daniel has already selected his moves. We're just waiting on Curtis to select his. But a switch is most definitely coming from Daniel's side. He does not want that Celesteela out there. So there goes Bravery out. And Tapu Fini comes in, is going to switch the field. Misty Surge is going to make, I believe it's Psychic-type attacks a little bit stronger. Curtis switches out the Celesteela for an Arcanine. Intimidate's going to drop both Arcanine and Tapu Fini's physical attacks, but that's not going to matter too much. Tapu Koko drops down a Hidden Power. Not going to do very much to Tapu Fini because I believe it's an Ice-type Hidden Power. We've seen Curtis using his Z-move on Arcanine. And I believe that's Z-Fire Inferno Overdrive. It's probably going to target the Celesteela spot. That's not going to... It's probably only going to do about half damage to that Arcanine, because it's not very effective, even less than that, about a third. So Tapu Koko is going to switch out. No. I'm kind of interested to see what's going to happen here. I think that he doesn't mind that Fini that much, but the Arcanine is definitely a threat to him. While for Curtis, the Tapu Koko is going to end up being a problem. I don't know why Tapu Koko decided to use the Ice Hidden Power there, and neither one of these attacks is going to do very much damage because he resists both of them. Tapu Fini is going to use Muddy Water. It's going to be super effective on the Arcanine and probably going to knock it out. Oh no, it held on with a crit. That's shocking. So Arcanine's going to recover about half of its HP using its Figgy Berry. The Arcanine is going to roar. It's going to roar the Fini back in and pull out Garchomp. So Coco's Coco almost has to switch out at this point, because that Garchomp is just too big for him to deal with. Arcanine, on the other hand, is very likely going to have to attack something. And that Garchomp is also a gigantic threat to Daniel. Curtis is pretty much just going to use his biggest attacks that he can think of and try and get as much damage onto Daniel's side as possible. So there's a switch on from Daniel. Coco leaves, Finny comes in. Arcanine's going to switch, really a double switch, to send out the Celesteela. Now, Curtis is hoping that... Daniel is hoping that he predicted correctly, not very effective. Flare Blitz onto the Finny spot, not going to do a ton of damage. And get some recoil damage from the Flare Blitz. So Finny is almost certainly going to use a dual attack water type attack. While, the Celesteela is probably just going to want to protect itself from Arcanine's attack. Because he knows that if the Arcanine gets off an attack on Celesteela, it's going to be knocked out. So there's the switch of the Arcanine, sending out Bravery. Bravery is going to use Misty Seed to increase, I think there was a special attack. Scald is going to hit Bravery for a small amount of damage. Heavy Slam, so Daniel did predict a switch. Heavy Slam is going to do a decent amount of damage to Garchomp. Rough Skin damages Celesteela a bit. And we're back to Team Select. Once again, Tapu Fini is going to just want to attack. And Celesteela probably also going to just want to attack. I know that Celesteela tends to be a more defensive Pokemon than an attacker, but I think Daniel's just going to be attacking with it. As far as the Garchomp and Bravery, that Garchomp is going to want to get that Tapu Fini out as fast as possible, but he's just going to Fire Fang the Celesteela. Super effective, does about a third of the damage. Bravery uses Tailwind to make its entire team faster than Daniel's. A Water-type attack onto the Garchomp is going to deal about a quarter damage, and then Leech Seed onto Bravery. So that Leech Seed is going to stay in that spot no matter what, and that's going to help heal Celesteela every single turn. Going to damage Bravery and heal Celesteela. So the field returns to normal. Finny's going to try and get rid of that Garchomp because he knows that the Garchomp is a very large threat to him. Garchomp's going to drop Fire Fang and avoids the attack. Scald onto Bravery, deals a small amount of damage, and hits the burn. Celesteela is going to Leech Seed the Garchomp, and now it has two sources of healing, one from each side. Bravery is going to Whirlwind away the Garchomp to get Arcanine back out. But the Arcanine is still in a seated spot. Intimidate is going to drop both Tapu Fini and Celesteela. Celesteela is now very much in a weakened state, but it's going to take back some health. Probably from both. Oh no, only from Bravery. So Seed goes away. Okay. Bravery takes some burn, and that drops its attack. I forgot to mention that burn does drop your attack when it's on you, including doing damage. So now we're back to move select, and that Tapu Fini is going to want to take out anything that it possibly can during this turn, while Celesteela is probably just going to want to defend as much as possible. I sense a Protect coming on from Celesteela, and if Curtis predicts that, then he's going to be in a very good spot to take out that Tapu Fini. So, Arcanine goes away, Finny comes back out, but that's also going to power up Daniel's Tapu Fini with its Misty Surge. Mist swirls around the battlefield. Celesteela used Protect, and Curtis did predict the Protect. Bravery uses Roost to restore some of its HP, but Celesteela is still going to get back some of its damage. Scald onto Tapu Fini is not going to do very much. Bravery takes some Leech Seed damage, Celesteela gets healed, and Bravery is going to then take some burn damage, putting it down to right about half of its health. Nope, a little more than half. So we got Tapu Fini is again going to use a water type move. Celesteela is probably going to want to get more Leech Seed out to try and get more HP recovery. Steel Flying. I didn't realize its secondary type was Flying. Bravery's going to Roost again, restoring all of its HP. Tapu Fini used Moonblast onto Daniel's Tapu Fini. That's going to deal a pretty decent amount of damage and drop special attack. Scald onto the Tapu Fini spot is not going to do very much damage. I don't know what Daniel's thinking with his attacks. Why isn't he attacking the Bravery more? But a Leech Seed gets put onto Tapu Fini, and Celesteela is going to heal itself all the way up to maximum. It's going to seep damage from both of Curtis's Pokemon, and that Tapu Fini doesn't have a recovery move as far as I can tell. So Celesteela is healed up to maximum, Bravery takes a little bit of burn damage, and the Tailwind peters out, which probably doesn't matter because I'm pretty certain that all of Curtis's Pokemon are already faster than Daniel's Pokemon. So once again, we're back to selecting moves. And now I think that Tapu Fini can't keep using water moves. It just can't. Unless he's trying to predict an Arcanine switch, which I don't know why he would be predicting that. Bravery uses Roost again, restoring all of its HP. Tapu Fini uses Scald, once again dealing a very small amount of damage to Curtis's Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini drops down a Swagger, maximizing Bravery's attack but making it confused. And there comes a heavy slam from Celesteela, dealing about a quarter of Tapu Fini's health. And Celesteela takes some health from a Leech Seed. Really, it's just draining Curtis's Pokemon at this point. Tapu Fini is very likely going to get knocked out next turn. Bravery takes some burn damage, and it's probably lost about a fifth of its HP off of that. Tapu Fini's back in the red, and I don't think Daniel's even going to touch that Tapu Fini. He's going to rely on his Leech Seeds to get rid of it. Bravery's going to use Roost again to heal itself. I don't know why it did that, because it's had its attack maximized. Tapu Fini uses Haze to remove all the stat modifiers, both positive and negative, so everybody's back to neutral. Swagger again onto Bravery. So he's really trying to get that Bravery to maximum. There's a heavy slam onto Tapu Fini, gonna knock it out. And then Celesteela is going to soak. It's going to get a Beast Boost, raising its special defense. And then it's going to leech some damage off of Bravery, and Bravery is going to take a little more damage from the burn. Now Curtis is down one Pokemon and needs to find another Pokemon to replace it with. We've already seen Arcanine and Garchomp come out, so my best guess is that he's going... There's the Arcanine. Bork Duggo. And Intimidate is going to drop Fini's and Celesteela's attack, which again doesn't really matter to either one of them. Fini is going to want to Haze again, just to get rid of Bravery's stat change. And Celesteela really needs to find some way to survive the Arcanine's attack. But either way, that I believe both Bravery and Arcanine are going to go before the Fini or Celesteela have a chance to go. So, unless unless Daniel drops a Protect, I'd be very shocked if the Celesteela survives this round. Daniel needs to select a move. Okay, so the Arcanine drops down a Protect, which is more defensive than I thought it would be. Bravery's going to Tailwind to make its team really fast. He must have thought that the Finny was faster than the Arcanine. Finny's going to use Haze to get rid of all of the stat changes, and that's going to reduce Bravery's attack down to normal, but it's also going to reduce Celesteela's defense. Celesteela takes a little more damage from Bravery. Bravery takes its burn damage. And Tapu Fini's Mist disappears from the battlefield. Okay, now Daniel knows that both Arcanine and Bravery are going to go before his Pokemon because of the Tailwind. I'm surprised that he used Extreme Speed there on the Finny. So Finny's just going to heal itself up a bit using one of its berries. Which one did it use? Mago Berry. Brave Bird probably onto the Finny. It's going to deal a pretty significant amount of damage, but probably not enough to knock out the Finny. Bravery's going to take some damage from Recoil. Finny drops a Scald onto Arcanine, and super effective. And goodbye Arcanine. I'm kind of surprised that knocked it out that quickly. Leech Seed fails, but Bravery's going to lose some more of its health off of the Leech Seed, and it's going to take some burn damage. So now Curtis has one Pokemon left, and he just got the Garchomp left to go. Wow, I know Daniel already still has all of its Pokemon out. There goes the Garchomp. Finny's going to want to attack that Garchomp as fast as it can. Celesteela's probably going to want to protect. Neither one of these... Curtis has already used his Z move for this game, while Daniel has not yet used his. So Daniel, I saw, has already selected his moves. We're just waiting on Curtis to decide on his. And Garchomp drops a Rock Slide. It's going to damage both of Daniel's Pokemon, but not a ton. Bravery drops a Brave Bird, which is going to damage Tapu Fini. Probably put it in the red, but also likely not to knock it out. Bravery takes recoil damage. Finny flinches. Got a heavy slam coming down onto Garchomp, and that's going to knock it out. Garchomp's Rough Skin deals a little bit of damage to Celesteela, but at this point Daniel pretty much has this first game rounded up. Celesteela takes a special defense hit. Bravery gives Celesteela some of its health back and takes some burn damage. It's not going to knock it out, but Curtis must now realize that he has no chance in this game. He's down to his last Pokemon, which is a Bravery against Daniel's 4 Pokemon still left. So now we're just selecting moves, and as predicted, Curtis is going to forfeit Game 1. We now move into Game 2 of this best-of-3 match. Curtis realized that he has no chance of beating 4 Pokemon with one single Bravery, especially with that Celesteela sitting there and not taking any damage. I am kind of surprised that Curtis didn't try and attack the Celesteela earlier. That being said, he did use his Z move on Celesteela and did not predict a turn 1 switch. I'm guessing he was predicting a Protect instead of a switch. So now we go into Game 2. They set up their Pokemon. They're going to select all 4 of their Pokemon again as if they hadn't played before, but now they both have information about the opposing teams. Daniel knows that Curtis plays a little more aggressively. Curtis is probably going to want to play his first couple of turns less aggressively than he did that time. He probably burned his Z move a little bit early. He needed to wait a little bit longer into the round to make sure that he was going to hit the Celesteela. Even if it did hit a Protect, it would probably do half damage. Half of Celesteela's full HP as damage. So now we're just waiting on the players to finalize the 4 Pokemon they're going to use. Curtis is probably going to have to change up what he did in that round. My best guess is that he's going to use a different lead than the Arcanine that he used in the first round. So, we got our Pokemon selected. Let's start Game 2. Once again, Daniel is going to be on the bottom of your screen. Curtis is going to be on the top. Battle starts. Curtis is challenging Daniel to a match. Daniel says if it worked in the last game, it would work in this game. Sends out Koko and Celesteela, while Curtis counters with Arcanine and Tapu Fini. Tapu Koko's Electric Surge changes the battlefield, but then Tapu Fini's comes right in after that, and then that tells players a little bit about speed tiers. It tells them that the Koko is the fastest thing on the field, more than likely. So both players have a Pokemon that is weak against one of their opponent's Pokemon. Curtis has that Finny, which is weak to the Koko, while Daniel has the Celesteela that is weak to the Arcanine. So they both need to figure out how they're going to deal with it. If I was Curtis, I'd probably switch the Finny out for something that's going to resist Koko. You know that Koko's going to hit that slot. And there goes the Tapu Fini. For Kartana, this is a Pokemon we did not see in the first game. Celesteela comes back. For the Arcanine, Intimidate's going to drop Kartana's attack, which is a big deal. Both of those Pokemon rely on their physical attacks. And here's a Z-move from Daniel. Electric type Z-move. We're coming down with Gigavolt Havoc. There's a spear going straight through to Arcanine. Takes about half of its damage. And Curtis is also going to use his Z-move on Arcanine. Inferno Overdrive is probably going to hit the Celesteela spot. Oh no, he's hitting the Koko spot. He really does not want that Koko on the field at all. But Koko only takes about 2/3 of its health and damage. And that Arcanine... Looks like Curtis correctly predicted the switch this time, but he probably didn't want to waste that Z-move there. So, Daniel's sitting there with Tapu Koko and Arcanine, while Curtis has an Arcanine and a Kartana. That Kartana is really in a dangerous spot right there. It's going to be one-shot by Arcanine unless it switches out or protects, while the Koko, it needs to get a knockout or else it's not going to survive this round. Yep, Kartana gets switched out probably for Finny. If Daniel predicted this correctly, then he's going to do a ton of damage. Hidden Power Ice on the Finny isn't going to do very much. Arcanine's going to drop a Flare Blitz onto the Finny, which also is not going to do very much. Daniel did not correctly predict the switch. Arcanine takes a little bit of damage. The opposing Arcanine is going to use a Flare Blitz onto Tapu Koko, which is going to do enough damage to knock out the Koko. So Curtis takes the first knockout of this match. Arcanine takes a little bit of self-damage, while Daniel now has to find a new Pokemon to send in, and he's going to send out his own Tapu Fini. So, mirror match, Tapu Fini versus Arcanine, but Daniel probably has an advantage in this particular match because his two Pokemon have more HP remaining than Curtis's does. But Daniel wants to switch out to the Arcanine for a Celesteela. I don't think that's a great move there, but probably predicted that the opposing Arcanine is going to protect. Scald hits nothing. Tapu Fini uses Muddy Water. Celesteela avoids it. So it's going to do a very small amount of damage to Tapu Fini. But it is going to reduce Fini's accuracy. So now we're back to selecting teams. And there goes the other Arcanine. It's going to switch out for a Kartana, since he knows that that thing will probably get an attack off next round. Tapu Fini is going to use Scald onto the Kartana spot, which is going to do a whole lot of damage. And then the opposing Tapu Fini is going to swagger his own Kartana. It's going to raise the attack, but prevent it from getting confused. Going to Flamethrower onto Kartana, which is probably going to knock it out completely. Kartana has very, very weak defenses. And Celesteela's Beast Boost gives it some more special defense. So now Curtis has to send out a new Pokemon. Probably didn't realize that the Celesteela had a Fire-type attack. So now here comes Arcanine, which once again is still weak to that Tapu Fini, but it does put pressure on the Celesteela. Tapu Fini is going to want to deal with that Arcanine as soon as possible, while Celesteela likely wants to protect or drop a Leech Seed somewhere. Tapu Fini drops a Scald, and that's going to knock out the Arcanine very likely. There goes Arcanine. So Arcanine does not get an attack. And Tapu Fini uses Swagger, but it doesn't do anything. Celesteela drops a Leech Seed onto Fini. And we know that Fini doesn't have any restorative items or moves. And then Fini's mist disappears from the battlefield. So now Curtis must send out his last Pokemon, which is a Garchomp. Daniel's probably happy to see that because I think that he has an Ice-type move that he can use there. So we're down to Daniel having 3 Pokemon remaining, and Curtis having 2. Celesteela is likely going to want to get more Leech Seeds down, but that Garchomp comes down with a Rock Slide, misses the Fini, and doesn't do very much damage to Celesteela. Moonblast misses. Muddy Water is going to hit both for not a ton of damage, but any amount of damage at this point is going to be useful for Curtis. Celesteela flinched, but it's going to restore a little bit of health from the Leech Seed. And we move on to the next turn. So he's going to need Tapu Fini to actually hit with one of his attacks. And it seems like Daniel wants to really hit Curtis's Pokemon as hard as he can. Daniel is just hoping for flinches with his attacks. Moonblast is going to hit the Garchomp. It's going to do a lot of damage. Super effective move. The Garchomp special attack falls, and there goes a Muddy Water from Tapu Fini. Again, not going to do a ton of damage to Daniel's Pokemon, but it's going to do something. Not very effective on Tapu Fini. Leech Seed on the Garchomp, which probably isn't going to matter very much in the long run. But Celesteela does get 2 sources of heal for this turn, and unless that Garchomp can flinch both of Daniel's Pokemon, Curtis is going to lose that Garchomp during the next turn, which that's a very low chance of that happening. So Celesteela heals up a lot of HP, and Daniel is now going to want to knock something out very quickly here. I'm going to assume that the Tapu Fini is going to want to target down the Garchomp, while Celesteela targets Tapu Fini with its attacks. Celesteela drops a Protect, so he wants to at least stop the Garchomp from knocking it out. Rock Slide is going to hit just the Fini, it's not going to hit through the Protect. Fini takes a little bit of damage, and then it's going to Moonblast the Garchomp, knocking it out. So Curtis is down to his last Pokemon, just the Tapu Fini in play, while Daniel still has 3 Pokemon remaining. And his last Pokemon would be an Arcanine in the back. There's another Muddy Water from Curtis's Tapu Fini. It's not going to do very much against Daniel's Tapu Fini, and that Fini is going to restore some of its health using its Mako Berry. So there's Curtis's Celesteela healing up some more damage from Leech Seed, taking it back up to almost full health. Daniel is now in a commanding position for this battle, and he's just going to want to attack as quickly as he can, but Curtis just forfeited, so Daniel is going to win this match 2 games to none. So Daniel will finish this round up 1-0 with 3 points in the tournament, while Curtis finishes this round 0-1, 0 points in the tournament. And we'll move on to round 2 next. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you next time.